What's good, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Thursday, April 12th, 2018. I'm Andrea Renee, joined by the Reverend Jared Petty.
Oh, I get to be the Reverend today. It makes me so happy. Thank you very much, Andrea Renee.
You know, I don't even remember what Greg calls you.
It's the Reverend. That's
Oh,
it.
wonderful.
He was the one that
I
coined
nailed
that
it.
long ago. Yes, indeed. You did nail it.
Fantastic. Well, I'm glad that we're back together again.
I'm glad we are too. I think that was way better than throwing a bunch of random adjectives at you. That's kind of what I did yesterday. So I really liked it. You honed right in, narrowed it down, got right to the point. You're in the driver's seat. I'm excited about it. Enjoying this.
If you didn't know, this is Kinda Funny Games Daily, where we bring you the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you are watching live at twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, we ask you kindly to keep us honest throughout the show by going to kindafunny.com/you're-wrong and letting us know what we screw up as we screw it up. I have a little bit of housekeeping for you folks who love what we do over at youtube.com/kindafunnygames. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. We really appreciate the support. But today, the final episode of the PSVR special season has gone live. It's all about I Expect You to Die. And before we went live, we were talking about where this came from.
Yeah, it's from Goldfinger. It's James Bond. This wonderful, wonderful scene where Goldfinger's got him on a conveyor belt headed toward a laser beam. And Bond's like, "Do you expect me to talk?" And Goldfinger's like, "No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die." And it's just one of the most delightful scenes in movie history. I really love it. And so, yeah, I'm excited about this.
Apparently, Nick does just that. He dies. Oh, I don't know, actually. I haven't watched the episode yet. So it's Greg and Nick playing PlayStation virtual reality. And again, you can find that over at youtube.com/kindafunnygames. If you guys really loved that series, you should maybe let the guys know. Leave a comment, throw up a like, send us some mail, and maybe, who knows, maybe you'll get a season 2. No promises. But, you know, sending in your thoughts if you would like a season 2 never hurts. Just food for thought. We also appreciate all of the support you guys give us on podcast services around the globe for Kinda Funny Games Daily, the #1 daily video game news podcast.
In the universe.
In the entire galaxy.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
And, maybe fourth dimensionally. Maybe in the past and the future. That's my hope.
I mean, why not, Jared?
Yeah, I aim big.
We don't aim for anything less than big here at Kinda Funny Games Daily, but I do also need to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Brooklinen, but we're going to talk more about that later. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the Roper Report. Time for some news. 5 items on the Roper Report.
Motherfucking baker's dozen!
Oh yeah, cool,
Whoa.
Greg, with the fire.
Wow, that was impressive right there. Oh my gosh.
Everyone's a little amped up because we had some technical difficulties on the morning show today. So we have a kind of a rat's nest of cables happening on the floor. I know you guys can't see that, but the good news is that Kevin and Cool Greg pivoted quickly. We're able to make something happen.
Are you saying something? This is almost inconceivable. Something went wrong with the morning show?
You mean that garbage truck on fire?
Indeed. It's shocking. I'm clutching my pearls.
I know, right?
Oh my.
First up, Billy Mitchell was stripped of his records.
Yikes.
Based on the complete body of evidence presented in the official dispute thread, Twin Galaxies administrative staff has unanimously decided to remove all of Billy Mitchell's Donkey Kong scores, as well as ban him from participating in competitive leaderboards. Let me give you guys a little bit of more context for all of you out there scratching your head going, who is Billy Mitchell and why should I care? So over on Polygon, they write, all of the high scores of Billy Mitchell, the longtime Donkey Kong and Pac-Man champion, have been thrown out by Twin Galaxies following a review of 7-year-old footage that determined 3 of his million-point high scores had been falsified. Twin Galaxies, the high score sanctioning authority whose history practically begins with Mitchell's career in the early 1980s, announced the decision early this morning. It concludes a lengthy review of a challenge brought in early February against Mitchell's 1,062,800 point performance of July 31st, 2010, which had long raised suspicion in the Donkey Kong high score community. Okay. I'm going to admit, I kind of had a little bit of a chuckle when I read this.
The Donkey Kong high score community?
I was like, is it a super robust community, Jared? Do I need to be educated?
In a way, it is. So this is something I actually care a lot about and know a little of it. Did you see King of Kong?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so that, obviously that's that community. Twin Galaxies serves as the keeper of video game records for pretty much everything. They partner with the Guinness Book of World Records, and they've been around for a very, very long time trying to legitimize and sanction and provide a sense of oversight to whether or not somebody's the best in the world at this particular thing, which in the era of esports, I think becomes especially interesting. But Billy Mitchell really is, nobody's going to dispute that Billy Mitchell is anything but a spectacular video game player. He played the first perfect game of Pac-Man. And when I say perfect game, it is mathematically impossible to score more points than he did. Billy Mitchell got every dot, every power pellet, all 4 ghosts on every power pellet, and every piece of fruit for all 256 levels of Pac-Man.
That's impressive.
Yeah, the guy can play. But it appears now that he falsified, or the rules are very simple. You have to use unmodified arcade hardware for the category he was in. You have to use an original Donkey Kong motherboard that hasn't been modified. Because of some peculiarities that people noticed in some certain frames of animation in a VHS tape he submitted for this record, it became apparent that he had not used one of those motherboards, that he'd used an emulator, probably MAME, to do this. And that breaks the rules because, one, the rules are very clear about that, and they stick to those. Second, Billy knew that. He knew that as well as anybody. He can't just say, oh, well, I didn't realize that was... that. He, better than anyone, is tied into Twin Galaxies. And so this is a case where he knowingly cheated. That's what conclusion I think was reached here, and that's why he's not going to be allowed to participate any longer.
Why do you think a man that has the skills of a guy like Billy Mitchell would be compelled to cheat after doing so spectacularly and performing so well in other arenas? Like, what do you think would drive him to make that call, to be like, oh, no one's going to catch me?
I don't know Billy Mitchell, and I'm kind of reluctant to speculate on that. I kind of doubt that he used any tools to help him through that. I think he was probably just playing on MAME, did it, and sent the tape in because that was where he got his best score. Again, I don't know that. I'm just speculating. When I say cheat, I want to be very clear. I'm just saying that he may have just played on the wrong kind of hardware based on the analysis. And he had the opportunity to go in and comment on and dispute on this if you read the full Twin Galaxies thing, and chose not to. Nobody can force him to. But this creates a situation of distrust that I don't understand. Maybe it was just the drive to stay the best at something. Maybe a lot of us, he became frightened when that which made him identify what he's best at was threatened. I don't know. I can't speak to that. But this is, for a small group of people, a very big deal. And I think it's notable because Mitchell is one of the all-time greats, because King of Kong is a fascinating documentary that anyone who loves games really ought to watch anyway, that this is another chapter of that, and because Twin Galaxies was willing to go, and Billy Mitchell was instrumental to the foundation of Twin Galaxies and that whole organization. The fact that they were willing to ultimately go in and say, I'm sorry, we can't trust you anymore, so publicly, that's a really big deal.
Why now? Why is this just coming to light today?
Because somebody brought because the differences between emulation's gotten really good, and the idea that he was playing on an emulator,
thanks, Kevin.
particularly, thank you, Kevin, through that VHS tape, it took people a while to notice the very, very subtle differences that might have been there. They had to bring a team of specialists in. They took their time. They had third parties look at it. They did all kinds of things to determine that he used an emulator and not a motherboard. Again, he may have just had a MAME cabinet set up in his house, and that was where he was playing when he broke 1 million. It could just be that. I don't know.
I guess I just look at this story and go, who's got this crazy grudge that they've been analyzing this footage over and over again to find these few frames where the animation hitches just enough to be like, damn you, Billy, I'm bringing you down.
Well, it's not just grudge. I think some of it is, and again, King of Kong has some, obviously there's a narrative there in addition to the documentary. But Steve Wiebe, after his first Donkey Kong record is challenged, because people say, hey, there might be some inconsistencies with the hardware. We're not really sure. He travels to an arcade so that he can take on the Donkey Kong world record in front of a huge crowd of people, just like, no, folks, seriously, I did this, and I'm going to prove it. Travels across the country, sits down, does it, breaks the Donkey Kong record.
Thank you.
In front of the people that expressed their doubts about his ability to do it, And then immediately Billy Mitchell's tape comes out, and it's like, oh, well, yeah, you did that, but mine was even better. And it really took away from the legitimacy of somebody else's record. That's why I used the word cheated earlier, because that took away from somebody else's hard work and accomplishment. And I don't think, and it wasn't Steve Wiebe that did this research, it was someone else.
Correct.
I think that it's a matter of somebody looking and going, man, I saw something and something fishy here.
Just was weighing on their mind. They just had to come forward.
And that's weird because, they caught it and just like, something's wrong. And again, I don't want to take away from Billy Mitchell's talent. I mean, I don't like beating people when they're down. Even people, and Billy Mitchell's not always made himself the easiest person to like in his public persona. But all of us in our life do things we wish we hadn't done. I hate that this came out this way. I think that generally speaking, it is best to let people learn from their mistakes, continue to grow, to repent, to change. Maybe that'll happen with him. Maybe it won't. But whatever the case, because this damaged someone else's life the way it did, someone else's reputation the way it did, I think that makes this something Twin Galaxies simply had to address. Those are my thoughts.
All right. You? I mean, I still don't understand why this is important. I'm gonna be frank.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the scale of things that are, egregious and bad, this is not high on that scale.
I guess the way I'd put that is...
I guess if you look at it in the microcosm of video games and competitive video games and competitive retro games, and the smaller and smaller you make the niche, it gets more and more important. But I just look at everything going on in the world today and go, who cares about this story?
Well, let me put it this way.
Maybe that's cynical of me.
It's not cynical. Let's say that you spent a year of your life working to be the best at something. And you worked and you worked and you worked. You were the best at something. You did it. You did better than anyone ever had. And the people that you presented that evidence to were so cynical about your ability to do it that they cast doubt on that. So you walked into the middle of them and did it all again, a second time, in front of everyone. And then immediately out of nowhere, this guy that they know much better sends in a tape of him doing the same thing, but better than you, doesn't bother to show up at that occasion. And you sit there and go, and they're all like, oh, well, you did that, but he did this.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve to be salty as fuck. Totally. Like in the moment, even in like the year or two afterwards, if I was him, I would be burnt about it 100%. But like this many years later, if you're still holding on to that, life is too short, man.
Well, again, Wiebe's not. This didn't come from him. This came from someone else. I think this is about legitimizing the record keeping. Ultimately, I think it's about this is what goes in the Guinness book. I mean, this is, if you're going to be the best in the world at something and you have video games provide a quantitative measure of greatness.
Right.
Scores, how far you get, completion. Very few things in life can you quantitatively measure how good someone is.
Right.
But a video game you can. So they've established a system by which you do that. Someone broke that for the most prestigious and difficult of arcade games. Donkey Kong is a nightmare.
The most prestigious? Are you throwing that label up for sure?
For arcade games, yeah, absolutely. Donkey Kong is the jewel in the crown. It is the most difficult in terms of being good at it long term. I mean, yes, somebody's going to write to me about, I don't know, Sinistar or something and be like, actually.
Oh, I'm sure we're going to get you're wrong about it.
But Donkey Kong is a very difficult game to truly master. And I think that Mr. Wiebe's accomplishment, by the way, he's, the world record's changed hands several times since then. This is about righting an old wrong, but it's also about being able to trust the scorekeepers. I guess that because there's not a lot of money involved.
Right. I don't think this is on the scorekeepers. I think that the conceit that he pulled off was so difficult to spot in the time, especially when you look at like the quality of VHS footage versus, the in-depth analysis we do of 4K footage today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like, I mean, it was a different time. But that being said, I don't want to, beat a dead horse here. I think Billy Mitchell just needs to come forward and do it all again.
Oh, well, I mean, I have little doubt that Billy Mitchell is one of the world's greatest Donkey Kong players anyway, but he can't anymore. He's banned. He will no longer be permitted to submit scores.
He could technically do it, just not actually get it submitted. He could just live stream the whole thing and just be like, see, I did it. I'm sorry. Doesn't matter, Billy. You done screwed up. All right, moving on. Destiny's new expansion is on the way.
Woohoo!
Tentative woohoo from Jared. Over on IGN, they write, today Bungie announced Destiny 2's next expansion will be called Warmind and will arrive on May 8th with the start of Season 3. Bungie made the reveal in an official developer roadmap post and said the expansion will send you to new places to meet new heroes and battle new enemies. You'll earn new loot and master new activities. The post didn't offer any further details about Warmind, but said a reveal stream on April 24th would tell us more. The roadmap also broke down what we can expect from Destiny 2 through the summer. Notably, weapon slot changes and weapon randomization are on the schedule for September, which are sure to make a lot of players happy. So just as a reminder, that roadmap, they put out a little while ago, they have slated to come seasonal crucible rankings, private matches, vault space increase, thank fucking God, finally, multi-emote, exotic weapon masterworks, seasonal vendor progression, exotic weapon sandbox changes, heroic, that's the word, Andrea, heroic strike modifiers, nightfall challenging cards. Okay, listen.
Sorry, you really got me. Okay, so do you care?
It's hard for me to care. Because I was so let down by Curse of Osiris, and I have said on this show multiple times, you guys know I love Destiny. I'm definitely going to check it out because even though I booted up Destiny 2 during the Valentine's Day event, which I'm blanking on the name of right now, some kind of festival. You guys will remind me.
Dungeon of Repetitiveness. You
can write into You're Wrong. It's hard because there's so much amazing things happening in gaming, and I'm still playing Far Cry, and I want to get back into Rainbow Six, and then we've got, Detroit coming out at the end of May.
And this little game coming out in a week or so that
oh,
we might
yeah,
talk
God
about
of War,
later.
that game?
Yeah, we might discuss that.
Oh, yeah, we're definitely talking about that. But that game probably, once I'm done with it, I'll probably be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
But, I've been wanting to try to get more into Fortnite. I don't know. I almost feel like it's a little too late. I'm going to have to see who these new heroes are, these new enemies in these new places, and what the new activities are. Because so far, they haven't given me enough of a hook to want to get in because it's just been more of the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I tolerated that for a very long time because I stand by and continue to say the gameplay in Destiny 2 and the polish level is so well done that it makes the repetitiveness not feel like you're doing it over and over again. It doesn't feel boring because it's so fun. It's so fun to do, particularly if you're playing with a clan or with people that you know. But that being said, I didn't play during the last major holiday expansion or holiday event because I opened up Destiny 2. I get to the tower and I see my inventory. Like I see all the stuff at the postmaster I need to go pick up. And I just look at my inventory and I'm like, I have to do this inventory shuffle dance yet again. And it was just like so exhausting, the idea of having to put stuff in the vault and take stuff out and dismantle this and put this over here. Like I spend so much time in menus and not in the game world that I immediately just Crimson Festival, Crimson Doubles, something Crimson. I don't remember.
Maybe they can just gamify the inventory system there with the vault so that it turns into like a match 3 puzzler. It's just all about sticking stuff in the slots and switching them out, and then that'll make it a little more entertaining. What do you think?
I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm not being serious at all.
I know you're not being serious. You're being
yes.
facetious. Crimson Days. That's it. Thank you very much. You don't need to write in. I want to get back into it. After I put Destiny down and went through and rolled credits on Assassin's Creed Origins and look at the way that they handle inventory with weapons and power-ups and gear, I was like, why can't everybody do this? Why do I have all these limitations? Even like all the time I spend Monster Hunter, I just don't understand this arbitrary need to limit how many items you can carry on your person. Like, why can I only carry 9 of one type of thing? Why can't I carry like 20 or 100?
Think it's probably 2 things is my guess. One, it's legacy from old design philosophies where that was a lot harder to manage inventory, where what you were carrying was actually limited by memory space. And now I imagine some of that still goes on, but I think it's much less of an issue. And second, I suspect that some of this goes back to gaming's connection to Dungeons & Dragons and the fact that D&D characters can only carry so much, and video games are all just an extension of D&D, and that includes Pac-Man. Everything in video games is based on D&D. And to this day, some of that legacy design philosophy sticks in the minds of video game developers. And I think that's some of it. There might have been a mechanical reason to limit it that they'd argue for, but I mean, at this point, yeah, it's just kind of silly.
Yeah, it's frustrating. So I don't know. I'm kind of excited, but kind of not. I'm on the fence.
Yeah.
I guess time will tell once I see more on April 24th. Moving on to the next story, Radical Heights benefits from Fortnite's misfortune. So this write-up comes from Forbes. Fortnite is down, and it's still currently down as of the time we're shooting the show, I believe, doing emergency maintenance. All through last night and into this morning, and what had started as emergency maintenance has evolved into something much more prolonged with no estimate about when servers are going to be back up again. Epic's Battle Royale game is struggling under its own weight, frequently finding its servers down, but this outing is the longest Fortnite has been offline for a while. But one game that's benefiting directly from the misfortune is Radical Heights, Boss Key's new Battle Royale title, which is attracting players by default. Last night during peak Fortnite hours, players were kicked out of the game for emergency maintenance. Did most of them head to PUBG as a result? No. Rather, many fled to Radical Heights instead, which is free compared to PUBG's $30 entry fee. And the game managed to attract way more attention than it would have otherwise. Now, that's a little bit of editorializing, but I think we probably agree that that's true.
Yeah, well, it's an editorial we pulled this out of.
Yes.
So.
Thanks to the Fortnite outage, Radical Heights has already surpassed the total concurrent player count of Boss Key's failed hero shooter Lawbreakers. The big turn came last night when Fortnite streamer Ninja started playing the game, and 120,000 Twitch viewers went with him. That rocketed Radical Heights to be the #1 game on Twitch for a time, drawing 200,000 plus viewers across a number of streamers, including Ninja. So, wow, what serendipitous timing for the team at Boss Key.
I hashtag collusion.
We made a joke. It was like, did Cliffy B hire the Russians to pull some plugs over at Epic?
It is kind of amazing, but it is fortuitous for them, and that means that people will give this game a look. And actually, I don't wish any bad on Fortnite at all, because Fortnite, Epic's making an incredible thing. When they keep talking about emergency maintenance, I have this mental image of a bunch of people at Epic just building platforms very quickly, trying to put this together. But yeah, I mean, I don't wish anything bad on Fortnite. They make great stuff at Epic. I want them to keep making a wonderful game. They're doing a great job. But hey, this will give people a chance to find out if there's anything to Boss Key's new game. And they can sit down and because of this, folks that might not have tried it out are going to. And maybe that's a good thing for everybody. More good games or not, because I have no clue if this is a good game or not yet. I haven't touched it.
Well, it's in very early access, and anybody who's played probably recognized that instantly. And so just so everyone knows, this isn't a full launch. They just came out in early access. You know, Greg and Tim, I believe, were talking about this on Monday, about how the Boss Key has said that the reason that they put this game out onto the market is to try to hopefully garner some funds that they can then use to complete some of the changes they want to make on Lawbreakers. But maybe if it takes off, you know, they'll switch gears and focus on Radical Heights, kind of how Epic abandoned Paracon.
Oh, I'm sorry, Andrea.
It's okay. We only have 2 weeks left to play that game. Maybe I'll do like a goodbye stream or something.
That's a good idea. Shutdowns for games. There's all kinds of amazing stories around them. Like when servers for massive multiplayer games shut down, there's all these amazing things that happen. I think that a stream like that could actually be really, really cool, because you're in there for those last minutes and you're like, the world's about to end, everybody. Let's have a party. You know, it's kind of cool.
All carries all the time. It'll be great. So this is interesting. If you guys have played it, maybe write in, because Tim and Greg will be here tomorrow. kindoffunny.com/KFGD. Let us know how you're finding Radical Heights, if you're enjoying it, if you're not enjoying it, if you like it better or worse than other Battle Royale games that are out there. But this is just one in a long line of Battle Royale genre clones to be launching this year. I have no doubt that all of the major first-person shooters that are coming out are going to have their own version. Battlefield's probably going to have one. Call of Duty's going to have one. Red Dead Redemption 2 is probably going to have one.
I'm hoping for Pikmin. That's I'm holding out for Pikmin.
That would be really
Pikmin Battle Royale. I would play that.
All right, so the next couple of stories, stories 4 and 5, are just kind of quick blurbs for you guys. This one, an old favorite, returns to Soul Calibur 6. Another character makes their way back to the stage of history, as Bandai Namco has confirmed. Siegfried Schaften? How do you say that?
Oh, I can't pronounce anything in German. I have no idea. But I just say Siegfried. Let's just go with that.
Okay, we'll be in Soul Calibur 6. Siegfried has long been one of the primary characters of the series, both in terms of advertising and his role. He's also one of the 4 characters that have appeared in every game in the series since Soul Edge. And in the press release from Bandai, they say, his story began in the original Soul Edge when Siegfried appeared as a young German man with short blonde hair, blue eyes, and the will and strength to take on all challengers. Throughout the Soul Calibur series, Siegfried has continued to mature, change in appearance as he's become more battle-worn, and gained greater strength and skill in the arena of battle.
Yep. He's an agile but heavier strength character. This is completely unsurprising, but also good news if you like Soul Calibur. Siegfried kind of needs to be there, and that's happening. This game's roster is shaping up in interesting ways. I was already interested. I love guest characters. I've talked about this on here before. I get to be Geralt of Rivia in a sword fighting game. Sold. I'm there. You thoughts? Do you care?
No, I don't play Soul Calibur.
You ever thought about giving it a try?
I have not, no.
It's one of the real good ones. It's a fighting game that you can get into without being an expert. It's very easy to comprehend and get pulled into Soul Calibur and get better quickly. So
nice.
This is actually a kind of a cool game to just, don't hop into online servers immediately and get like murdered by experts, but
oh no, I probably would never get into the online servers.
But sit down and play single player and get a feel for it, and then sit down with some friends and you'll have a ball. It's a great party game.
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to chuck it in the pile. All right, here we go. Last item on the Roper Report. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege exceeds 30 million players milestone. Released in 2015, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege has become the most successful multiplayer shooter. Wait, one of the most. Let me correct that. One of the most successful multiplayer shooters, and continues to evolve in year 3 with regular content updates from the launch of Operation Chimera, Outbreak, and a slew of additional game updates. This year also saw a record 321,000 peak concurrent viewers tune into the 2018 Six Invitational, Rainbow Six Siege's largest major esports championship to date, with more than 6.2 million hours watched across all channels throughout the event. So just a congrats to Ubisoft and the team making Rainbow Six. 30 million players is nothing to shake a stick at, particularly in a game that is not free to play. But they certainly do have enough opportunities to jump in and play for free. Keep an eye out on those free weekends. All right, that is going to do it. So, Jared, people can already play Rainbow Six Siege, but if they wanted to know what the new hotness was, where would they go?
Andrea, they go to the official list of upcoming software across each and every platform as listed by the Kinda Funny Games Daily Show hosts each and every weekday.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't get the yeah from over there. You did it.
Cool
wow.
Greg is in the zone.
Oh, okay. He's in the zone over there. I was wondering, oh, man.
It's okay, Cool Greg. Don't worry about it.
Like
Out today.
It's like a gopher. It just pops up every now and then. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
You didn't do nothing wrong, Cool Greg.
You're doing your job.
You're definitely top tier performance.
Just keep on keeping on over there. Out today, all of these titles I'm about to read are coming to Nintendo Switch. Hashtag Break Forces Battle. Yes, there is a hashtag in the name. As Divine Hearts.
I read that as As Divine Hearts.
I was going to say As Divine, but it's just one S. So As Divine. As Divine? Burly Men at Sea.
I want to play that.
Don't Starve, the Nintendo Switch Edition. Drone Fight, Eternal Edge, Gururin. I'm like, Jared, help me out here.
Gururin.
Arcade Archives from the Neo Geo era.
Yep,
Skies of Fury DX and Zotric Solar Division. Also coming out today, Dusty Raging Fist on PlayStation 4, Regalia of Men and Marnox, the Royal Edition for PS4 and Xbox One, Rogue Aces on PS4, Switch, and Vita, Spy Party in Early Access on Windows PC, Streets of Red Devil's Dare Deluxe on PlayStation 4 and Switch. Plus, Superman joins the playable cast in Tencent's Arena of Valor. That's their 5v5 mobile MOBA, which I've played and is pretty fun.
Yeah, Arena of Valor's neat.
Yeah.
It's an interesting game. I like that. I like they figured out a way to make a MOBA functional on a tablet, and it feels natural there.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just one of many that Vainglory, of course, being one of the more popular ones that's out there. But Arena of Valor, I think they really optimized it in a way where you don't get too bogged down in the items. Obviously, learning the items is important, but I didn't feel it was as unapproachable as a game like League or Dota, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's all on mobile devices, the the gameplay, the tap interface on the glass actually feels pretty intuitive.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
It's a huge deal in China, and they're making a big play here for the States, and I think it's an interesting game that deserves a look if you like MOBAs.
Yeah, absolutely. New dates. Square Enix Collective has announced their 2D cinematic animated adventure Forgotten Anne will be launching this May 15th for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC.
I don't know anything about Forgotten Anne.
I don't either. It's an anime adventure.
Oh, so why isn't it Forgotten Anime?
That's a good question, Jared. Maybe we should email them and ask.
Our jobs are stupid.
Deals of the day. I didn't pull one because I forgot. Don't be mad. Sorry. But it's okay because I'm now going to tell you that Reader Mail is brought to you by Brooklinen. Jared, as we discussed yesterday, we spend a third of our life in our sheets. They make a difference with how you sleep.
They do.
Sheets are incredibly important.
They are.
Start getting better sleep with the best sheets at brooklinen.com. Greg loves his Brooklinen sheets. He picked out his navy ones and the white comforter with the navy polka dots. You guys hear him talk about it all the time, about how Jen was so impressed that he was able to pick out coordinating sheets and comforters. And you can pick out yours too. These are the best, most comfortable sheets with no big markup. So you can upgrade your nightly routine to help you feel more rested every day.
Do you think that Greg would let me try? Like, I'm going to get some Brooklyn sheets, but do you think that Greg would let me try his out first?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like I go over to his place and just take a nap?
Absolutely.
I wonder. I'm going to ask him about that tomorrow.
They're
That's a
nice
good
folks.
plan.
I'm sure that they would let you take a nap in their bed.
Yeah, in the bed? All right.
You might have to sleep with Portillo, though.
Well, that's okay. I like Portillo.
Yeah, he's a
good.
nice dog.
All right, well, so sit down and do this. I mean, I trust Brooklyn, but I'm looking forward to just feeling these sheets as soon as possible.
Well, did you know that Brooklinen is also the fastest growing bedding brand in the world with over 15,000 five-star reviews?
I did, in fact.
Well, Brooklinen sheets have been also named a winner of the best online bedding category by Good Housekeeping because of their versatile colors and patterns that you can mix and match to complement any decor. This is luxury bedding underpriced. You've got to try these sheets today. Brooklinen.com has an exclusive offer just for Kinda Funny Games Daily listeners. You get $20 off and free shipping when you use the promo code GAMESDAILY. That's GAMESDAILY at brooklinen.com. Brooklinen is so confident that they offer a risk-free 60-night satisfaction guarantee and a lifetime warranty on all of their sheets and comforters. But you guys, the only way to get that $20 off and that free shipping is to use our promo code GAMESDAILY at brooklinen.com. That's BROOKLINEN.com. Brooklinen, the best sheets ever.
Have you decided whether or not you're going to sunset one of your sets of linens?
Haven't made the call which one yet.
Okay.
Still deciding.
I was very impressed to learn yesterday that you have an entire closet in your home dedicated to bed linen.
Yeah, and I have some stored under the bed and under bed boxes as well.
There's even more. Wow.
Yeah, because, I have like seasonal sheets.
Oh, okay.
Got like the spring ones, the summer ones, the holiday ones.
What are your favorite sheets of all? What are your most precious sheets?
Oh man, I have to pick a favorite. Don't make me pick a favorite.
Don't make it. It's like choosing between your children.
Exactly. All right, let's get started. I asked you to send me your questions on Twitter about God of War. If you guys haven't been under a rock this morning, you've noticed that God of War is slaying the review scene. When by slaying, I mean several perfect scores, several high 9s and 10s. I don't think I've seen anything less than a 9 or a 90%.
People really seem to like it.
It's really incredible how unified, and it's so rare that we see games that have universally positive scores. I mean, the last game I can recall having scores this good really across the board was probably Super Mario Odyssey.
Odyssey would probably be it, yeah. I think that'd be the most recent example of this.
So I asked you to write in to kindafunny.com/KFGD to be part of the show. And a lot of you wrote in. So thank you so much. I'm definitely not going to be able to get to everybody's question. So I wanted to just cover a couple of general things before I get into specific questions. First, I said, don't ask me about anything story related. I can't talk about it. I don't want to talk about spoilers. So a lot of you asked, about Norse mythology and Greek mythology. I did not see any Greek mythology in my playtime yet. It's just all Norse. A lot of you asked, hey, I haven't played the God of War games, or hey, I haven't played them in a long time. Am I going to be lost? No, you will not be lost. You do not need to go back and play God of War games. If you want to, go for it, but it's not necessary to understand what is happening in the new God of War. So a lot of you are asking about that. And the other thing a lot of you guys were asking about is, how long is this game? Tom from the UK says, I want details, people. Main story, main inside, 100% completion. So it's hard to tell, because when I originally did my interview with Corey at Sony Santa Monica, he had said 25 to 30 hours. And I would say this game is much longer than that.
Johnny D at IGN, Jonathan Dornbush, who reviewed it, said that he spent about 25 hours reaching the ending, did some side exploring because there's a lot of optional world exploration that he felt incentivized to do and enjoy doing, then spent another 15 hours in post-game after that, just exploring the world, and said he had not found everything.
Right. That sounds about what my experience has been so far. I've spent far more time doing side stuff along my campaign playthrough because, as you mentioned, you're incentivized to do so. And by incentivized, I mean you can pick up special crafting items that will help you upgrade Atreus' bow, Atreus' armor, Kratos' axe and shield, and of course his armor as well. The RPG mechanics are really spectacularly done in a way that it feels robust without feeling overly complicated. Because I remember the feeling I had when I got into Monster Hunter, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's way too many systems happening. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
God of War is not like that. So let's go ahead and get started. Corvo96 says, just wanted to warn the best friends to stay off YouTube for a week. Skill Up posted a video regarding God of War and said, it's the only game I've ever felt the need to make a video like this for. This video was simply him telling the audience to exercise caution when reviews post, because God of War is a special case game that can easily be spoiled just by watching gameplay footage that someone could put in a review. I've never been one to complain about spoilers because they are usually super easy to avoid, but God of War does feel like a special case to me. What do y'all think? Will sites be extra careful with spoilers around this game? How does that affect the review? Or is it entirely up to the consumer to just keep their head down if they don't want the game ruined, because it seems extra difficult to do for this game? Great question.
Yep.
I will say the Sony PR staff who facilitated both myself and Greg and several other people who have gotten reviews, who provided us with code. So I do also need to make that disclaimer that PlayStation provided me with a code to play the game ahead of launch.
Also me.
Was that they went to great lengths to make sure that we had all of the materials we needed and to set us up with parameters so that we were not spoiling any story. They also are not allowing anybody to stream the game ahead of launch. So none of the streamers you watch will be streaming the game for this exact reason, because they don't want people to see story spoilers when they don't have the opportunity to play through it themselves. So definitely appreciate that. And I think what it comes down to with reviewers is them just honoring the request. You know, like clearly PlayStation can't control what we do or don't do, what we say, what we put into our coverage, but we are fans of gaming and we don't want to spoil it for you guys, especially on something that's so narrative heavy. So I'm not talking about anything story related. I don't think Jared's going to.
Nope.
When Greg talks about it in the Games Cast that they're recording tomorrow live at 2 p.m. Pacific time, they're not going to either. And I look forward to doing a spoiler cast like a week or so after launch. But no, I do want to agree though, if you are extra sensitive to spoilers and you want absolutely nothing spoiled for you and you want to go in blind, then yes, don't read any reviews.
Yeah.
Particularly don't watch any video reviews.
Well, you mentioned the narrative-driven nature of this game. That is a double-edged sword. One, people don't want to spoil it because they want you to be able to enjoy it. Two, because it's a narrative-driven game and a lot of the quality of the game comes from the narrative, it's almost impossible to discuss it without bringing up the story. And therefore, mild spoilers are almost unavoidable in any serious critical discussion or in any, frankly, hype fan geek out of the game now that it's out there in the wild. So that's what happens with games like this. And if you just don't want to know anything, I agree with Andrea, just stick your head in the sand. I think most people, however, this outlet and others are going to respect a reasonable buffer and protect you so that you can enjoy the most surprising moments without anything that's going to make you angry.
Absolutely. Wooordwooord writes in saying, I've been reading that God of War has a deep upgrade system. With a game that seems to be heavily focused on narrative and gameplay, is the upgrade system complicated or too deep for the game, or is it intuitive and easy to grasp? I have found it to be very intuitive and very easy. I've seen some other reviewers complain about the menu system. I had no issues with the menu system. I thought it was very easy to read. I could compare it to a game like Middle-earth: Shadow of War, which I thought had an overly complex skill tree system. God of War does not have that. It's a pretty easy to read. It has a couple different branches, but the branches aren't extensive. There's just like maybe 3 to 4 branches down or slots down on each one. And you can kind of pick and choose, if you want to focus on, shield and fist, or if you want to focus on upgrading the Leviathan axe, if you want to focus on, up close combat with the axe, if you want to focus on ranged combat with the axe. And you kind of feel that out. And, the way that I have been playing so far, it doesn't feel like I've been punished for my choices. I feel like I'm earning enough XP that I can kind of select everything I want as I go. So you earn XP by picking up items in the world, by smashing things, by killing enemies, and by completing quests and objectives. And all of that XP you can use to buy upgrades. And I recommend that you buy them often and as much as you want, because what are you saving the XP for?
Yeah, again, Jonathan's review, we're going back to that Johnny D a lot, but he says that by the time he reached the end of the story, he had maxed out all his skill trees.
Yes, and I feel like that is what I want. I want to be able to feel incredibly powerful at the end of the game, but also get that power before the game is done. Because I want to like roll around like a badass for like the last like hour or two, feeling like superhero. I mean, he's a demigod, right?
Yeah.
Like you want to feel like you're incredibly strong. And some games, they introduce new mechanics at the very end or in the final boss fight. And I'm like, why? I don't even have a chance to get to learn how to use this.
Although, is there ever really a moment with Leviathan X that you don't feel freaking amazing?
I mean, no, it's good. And I've seen other reviewers also comment on it never gets old using the axe and summoning and throwing. And the way that they use the axe in the puzzle solving throughout the world is so clever. But the thing I love about the puzzles is that they make you think, but they're not so complicated that you're scratching your head going, okay, now I'm going to have to look up a walkthrough or figure it out. I felt like I took some time. There was only one puzzle that I walked away from because I was like, it was a side quest item. And I was like, I'll come back to this. I want to get more down the main story path. But it felt rewarding. It felt like the puzzles were balanced enough. And this is something I said after my preview. This game just has a lot of balance.
Well, that's good to hear, because I have a shriveled raisin where the part of my brain that solves puzzles should be. So that's actually very encouraging to hear. That really is.
Yeah, I mean, they're really leaning into the action adventure part of this game, where you're exploring and doing puzzles and having combat and then having narrative. And it feels so evenly paced that this is why this game is getting such great review scores. Next up, Anderson. Hello, Andrea and Jared. I just saw that the Bush put up a review on IGN for God of War after the NDA lifted last night. I was somewhat surprised to see that he gave it a 10. I expected God of War to be good. I just wasn't sure it would be 10 good. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the game, Andrea, to see if you agree, or are the frame rate issues that he, in parentheses, Dornbush, mentioned significant enough to drop the score below perfection. Thanks for all that you do. Thanks for all that you do. Here's my thing with the frame rate. I have not noticed it. They do give you the option to prioritize frame rate or performance. And so this is a personal choice. And if you really want to make sure that your frame rate is as fast as it can be, prioritize frame rate. If you would prefer to take in the absolutely stunning graphics that are in God of War, prioritize performance.
You playing on Pro?
I am playing on a Pro. Okay. PS4 Pro with a 4K TV with HDR, and it is jaw-droppingly beautiful.
I feel like we can be overly general around frame rate. There are times that a game doesn't need frame rate past a certain point. It depends on how the game's designed, and this game was designed around those limitations, and it sounds like intelligently, so I'm not too worried about that.
It was. I mean, and this is such a personal choice. I feel like as far as like the mass consumer audience goes, such a small sliver of people can see the finite differences between 1080p and higher resolutions. You also have to have the right kind of display in order to be able to show it. It didn't bother me, but if it bothers you, they give you options. And if you have a Pro, you even have a third option to prioritize resolution, I believe. So it's up to you. I will say, I do think that the work that Guerrilla did in Horizon with frame rate, resolution, and performance is probably like edges out what Sony Santa Monica did just by the smallest of margins. Like the slimmest of slim margins. But I mean, both games are beautiful, and it did not break my immersion or ruin my experience whatsoever.
Yep.
So, I mean, again, that's just a real personal choice. And in regards to that dropping it below perfection, I'd say no, because I feel like they're going to be able to optimize that with patches. And again, like to me, that's not. That doesn't disqualify it in my mind at
And
all.
before we move on, we've talked about John a lot and about 10 and that term perfection. Let's be clear, when, IGN, my old stomping grounds, when they say 10, they don't mean perfect.
Right.
Their definition of 10 is a masterpiece. That's a different thing. Sometimes even the best games can have flaws. It doesn't mean that everything about the game is absolutely optimal, not on their scale. Every site has different scales. Every reviewer has different definitions for those terms. For them, a 10 means that this is simply as good as the medium gets for what it's trying to accomplish. And that's a very, very, very rare score for IGN, which is one of the things that makes me excited. If anyone's ever argued with Dan Stapleton about anything, you understand how significant this 10 is.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we talked about this when Celeste came out as well, about the meaning of numbers, which is why I don't assign numbers or grades when I talk about games, because I feel like then the conversation is all about the number and not about the amazing work that went into the game.
Yeah, go read John's review. It's really good. It's meaty, it's long, and there's a lot in there. And if you're interested in learning more about this game, you can read that whole thing without ruining any of the story or what's coming, and find out what kind of game this is and why it's good.
All right. Next up, Emmett Watkins Jr. says, the more I hear about this game, it makes it sound open world. So tell me, is it more Horizon with a seamless open world, or more like Rise of the Tomb Raider with connected but separate open areas? Also, how deep are the RPG elements? Do you get XP for killing enemies? Are you managing an inventory? And finally, Dornbush referenced again, who reviewed the game at IGN, said that this game got him to buy a 4K TV. I'm literally just about to get my tax return, so I would like to know if I should blow half of it on one as well, or if I will be satisfied with how it already looks with my Pro and a 1080p TV. Thanks so much and much love. So regarding, let's start with that first. They do have, I believe, upscaling if you are not on a 4K TV, and I have no doubt that it'll look great. Listen, if you have a PS4 Pro and you've got money burning a hole in your pocket, there are lots of great sales that happen right around tax return time. So maybe just keep your eye out, for a 4K TV that goes on sale.
Going for that checkerboard right there.
Yeah. I mean, I would do it if I were you, but only if it is within your budget. But it sounds like it is. So there you go.
He's going for it.
Regarding the open worldness, it is not a true open world. But when I originally spoke to the team at Sony Santa Monica, they made it sound much smaller than I felt it actually is. I felt like the exploration areas are much bigger than what I got in Rise of the Tomb Raider, but they are not all connected. So you do have to travel like between certain areas of the world. And I don't want to explain how that works, because that in itself would be a spoiler. There is a fast travel system, but I did not use it. I haven't used it yet. I'm like maybe 20 hours in, and I have yet to use the fast travel system.
Rad.
So I can't tell you how it works. I'm going to talk to Brittany and Seimer about that for What's Good, which is coming out tomorrow, and hopefully they can explain to me, because I see the points where I can travel, but I'm just like, nah, man, I like walking around and finding stuff and smashing stuff and hack silver, and I like to buy stuff. Regarding the RPG elements, I feel like they have just enough depth that it scratches that RPG itch without being a lot of systems that you have to learn. So there, as I mentioned earlier, there are skill trees. So Atreus has his own skill trees. Kratos has his own skill trees. Within those skill trees, there are runic abilities that you can upgrade on the Leviathan axe. And then there are also gems that you can slot into armor and into your axe and your shield. And so those gems are things that you will pick up around the world. You can also craft them if you have the right resources. So the two guys that are going to be your BFF are a pair of dwarven brothers who are fantastically built out NPCs, and they appear so frequently that you'll never want for their crafting station. You'll be like, oh, there you are again, excellent. I was just ready to buy something from you, which I love, because I feel sometimes some games suffer from, and I feel it's the way in Far Cry 5, that you have to fast travel to get to a shop, and it's like, feels like you're derailing from the story progress you were on.
Yeah.
That is not the case with God of War. These guys just appear in random places, but like the way that it's woven into the narrative is so expertly done.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's like having the dog in Torchlight 2. I love that when you just have like, you know what? We're just going to take that irritating step right out.
Yes.
You know, everything you're saying here, Andrew, this just sounds like a superbly balanced and crafted experience. Like they're like,
really
oh no,
is.
we thought about this and we just polished that edge right off.
The pain points just do not exist in this game. And that's why I think it's getting such universal praise, because all of the things that, you know, you could nitpick in other games they just don't exist in this game.
Sounds like Chrono Trigger.
That is some high praise.
Well, I'm not gonna go out on a limb, but that's one of the things that makes Chrono Trigger absolutely great, is that all those pain points are just polished right off. And it's just like somebody made a list of, here are things that annoy you about games you love, but are still in there. And they're just like, we will take all of these out of Chrono Trigger and just leave the good stuff. And that's kind of what I keep hearing from you here. That's fascinating.
Oh yeah. No,
Really
it's
exciting.
all the good stuff.
Ooh, I love the good stuff.
Momo writes in and says, first time writing in, long time listener. So all of the God of War reviews came out and it seems the hype is real. This game is amazing. Made me really interested in wanting to buy this game, since it seems like a game I would like to buy, but there's one problem. I've never played any of the other God of War games, since it didn't seem that interesting to me. I don't like feeling left out of a story, and I would always like as much information as I can get before jumping into a franchise. So my question is, do I need to play the other God of War games before jumping into this one? Or maybe just watching some cutscenes from the other games to get some information? Or skip that and go in completely blind? Go in blind. Just skip it. Just wait until next week and go in blind, and you will not regret it. You don't need to know. I mean, like, listen, if you are the kind of person that craves the details, then by all means, like, look up some wikis and have at it. But you do not need it whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And I've really been enjoying the story and the way that they unfold it. I said in my preview discussion, you think you know, but you don't know. And that's what's awesome about it.
Yay. That's such good news.
Alex says, hey there, Andrea and Jared. Is God of War the new game that gamers should be showing non-gamers to prove how far games have come in terms of storytelling, graphics, and gameplay? Much love, Alex. In a word, yes.
There we go.
In another word, absolutely. I think it was, I can't remember if it was CNET's or Easy Allies maybe said that this is a step forward for the video game industry, and I can't agree with that more. It is, and I wrote that it was a masterpiece and a masterclass of game making, and it really, truly is. I mean, Sony Santa Monica has always been one of the top tier game developers out there, and the God of War franchise has always so expertly done certain things very well, like covering the cutscenes with cinematics and having these giant set pieces and this big narrative. But they have honed it in this new release in such a way that it's like, I don't know how they could make this game better.
Andrea, just to do a little self-plugging, the next episode of Hot Blip and a Jump, available tomorrow for early access patrons and Monday for everyone.
Where?
hotblipjump.com, of course, or youtube.com/hotblipandajump. Anyway, all that said, the next episode's about to come out. It's about family, and it touches on a little bit of what we're talking about here. With this question about storytelling from Alex, what I wanted to ask you is, this game has largely been sold to us on family storytelling. Without spoiling anything, what are your impressions of how it engaged that?
It has engaged it in a way that was incredibly unexpected. When you hear just the small pieces of dialogue, like when you're walking around the world or if you're in the boat with Atreus, just the small pieces that they say to each other. In combat, for example, Atreus is this side character who you can hit square and he'll shoot off his arrows and you can upgrade his arrows, and they really become important in combat. But what I found interesting is every once in a while, Kratos will yell out, "Nice shot." And you can see how Atreus is so desperately craving that affection, that acknowledgement from his father. Because so often after the battle is done, Atreus is like, how did I do? Did I do well? Did you like that? Did I perform well? And a lot of times Kratos is like, adequate. You could do better. Oh, that was decent. Or like whatever kind of middle of the road, like non-praise he can give. And so like those rare moments where Kratos like kind of breaks through and is like shows that he cares are so few and far between, at least in the front half of the game. I haven't gotten to the back half yet. That it really starts to build upon this relationship. And There's a really big cutscene that I'm, again, not going to spoil, that really kind of delves into the thoughts that both Kratos and Atreus have for each other.
That's great.
And it takes you to such a real place that I think it's really going to hit people in the feels more than you're ready for a character like Kratos.
That's really exciting. I forgive the self-promotion train, but Greg encourages me to do it sometime. But
yeah. You should never hesitate to promote Hop, Blip, and a Jump.
The next episode is about parents and children. And so this has been in my mind the entire time I've been working on that as how it got delivered on here. And so while you may not want to go back and play the other God of War games, feel free to watch Hop, Blip, and a Jump Friday or Monday to get ready for this, because that ties exactly into the themes you're describing here. And I'm very, very, very excited to hear that it's so well handled.
Yeah, and it's not just the main story that's so well executed. I so rarely go into an open world or instanced game or even any kind of an action adventure game and come away going, wow, every single NPC I ran across was beautifully animated. The voice acting and the direction of the acting is so well done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the people that you meet in the world are so crafted in a way that they leave an impression upon you far longer than most NPCs generally do, because so many NPCs in these styles of games are throwaway characters.
Yeah.
They give you a single fetch quest, and then your interaction with them is done, and then you never see them again. And even some of the smaller NPCs that I've run into, I just like listen to the way that they're delivering the dialogue, and I was like, this could be a complete like waste of time, but it's not, because they've given it meaning. And because there aren't an overwhelming amount of side things to do, it feels like they're all tied back to why you're there. And Kratos is always giving these lines of dialogue to justify like why you're doing what you're doing away from the main campaign. So you don't feel like, oh, I'm just over here collecting some hack silver because I needed to upgrade my thing. It's tied back in so that it makes sense why you're over there doing it.
So we have Tim Geddes here for the hype. We love the hype.
Yeah.
But you are describing my perfect video game right now. You're describing what
it's
Jared
really good,
wants
Jared.
out of the universe right now. So this is just, I'm just like,
I know. It's so rare that we get so excited about something like this, but it really is like, I'm getting all excited about it now, and I want to go home and play it. I got to shoot What's Good Games. So we are getting a little long on time, so I just want to run through a couple more of these. TJ Sprague says, with God of War's success, what game series do you think will follow suit with a more serious and grounded reboot? Well, maybe that's a question we can wait to answer, because that might be a little bit of a longer one. Tony Baracca says, do you feel it's the modern day masterpiece those outlets are making it out to be, referring to Polygon, IGN, and Destructoid that have given it perfect scores? Or how does God of War compare to your experience with Horizon Zero Dawn? Yes, I definitely believe it's the modern day masterpiece the outlets are making it out to be, as I've been discussing here. How does it compare to Horizon Zero Dawn? This just might unseat Horizon Zero Dawn as the definitive best PlayStation 4 game of the console generation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's saying something, because if you guys know, I couldn't stop talking about that game last year. It was my personal game of the year. And right now, certainly nothing is in front of God of War for Game of the Year. I distinctly remember at the preview event that I went to with Greg, within the first 5 minutes of me playing at the preview event, I thought, I'm devastated for them because they have to release in the same year as Red Dead Redemption 2 and go up against them for nominations at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. Just like Horizon went up against Zelda, and clearly like Zelda swept, as we all knew it was going to. And I'm like, I don't want this game to get passed over because it's not Red Dead. And I'm like, because it's so fucking good.
I think it's going to get its kudos. And
I hope so.
And running with that, congratulations to Cory Barlog, and to Sony Santa Monica and to Sony for, thank you for making good stuff.
Yes.
That's really rad.
I tweeted, if you don't have a PlayStation 4, there's no better reason to get one than God of War.
Mm-hmm.
Does that rhyme? That rhymes. Okay. I apologize to everybody who had so many other questions about the combat system and inventory. Inventory management's fine. You never need to worry about it. You can always sell stuff and get hack silver. The combat is fantastic. It's a deep progression. I'm playing it on easy because I need to get through the story, but I'm looking forward to going back and putting it on a harder difficulty and really exploring the depth of the combo system. Really, expertly crafted in the sense that if you really want to be the best at it, it's almost fighting game precision. Learning how the combos work together. And if you accidentally hit the wrong button, the wrong timing, you can like fire off like your runics or your rage meter. And so it's like, I love that they've kind of taken that influence from like how people who are really good at fighting games like know how the combos work together, and they've kind of inserted that into a hack and slash. You guys, I can't. Okay, I'm done talking about how great this is. I wanted to. Did you want to do one non-God of War question?
I do we have time? I mean, I'm really gonna go with you. You are the captain of this here ship. You will decide.
Yes, let's do one. TearlessFungus asks, good day and salutations. With the updates and the celebration Microsoft has been receiving with their backwards compatibility, how, if at all, do you think this will affect the used games market? Do you think we will see this trend continue or to be moved aside at some point in favor of hardware dedicated strictly to a new norm? Thanks so much and keep up the good work.
I don't think this hurts the used game market too badly. I think the idea of being able to go back to games again and again is probably good for everybody, and the fact that it's being supported by the platform. I think a lot of people that want to play older games want to do it the best possible way, the easiest possible way, and if they choose to remarket these games to us and keep giving us incentives to go back, like the upgrades we're getting right now, like the easy accessibility, that's probably where most people are going to go. Those of us that want to own physical copies of things, we're going to go out and buy them anyway. Those of us that want to own old consoles, you walk into my house, good Lord. And yeah, you're gonna find that. I'm not too worried about the effect. You, Andrea?
I definitely think that we're going to see a little bit of a ripple there, but I don't think that it's going to have a dramatic effect in the next 3 to 5 years. That being said, we're seeing now that companies are already acknowledging that 50% or more of their sales for games are coming in digital. So clearly the brick and mortars are going to have to address that somehow. We're seeing places like GameStop really bringing in the collectibles and the loot, as they call it, to do that. But like for backwards compatibility, I mean, I don't think it's going to affect it because there's something satisfying about going into a store and kind of looking through the bin and pulling out the games that are, that are on sale and walking home with a stack. It's like going to like a record shop or like a bookstore. Yeah,
maybe. And again, I'm fringe. Maybe we are the fringe on this. I bought a Sega Nomad yesterday.
You're definitely the fringe, Jared. But that's why we love you.
Yeah, pretty excited about it actually. Can't wait for my Nomad. It's a Genesis that you hold in your hands.
Oh my gosh, bring it here. Let's play it together.
Absolutely.
Thank you everybody for writing in to kindoffunny.com/KFGD. Now it's time to squad up. Wes writes in and says, me and my wife need some best friends to join us on PUBG Mobile. We are both pretty good. We play every evening and are tired of matching with strangers who either do not play at all or do not communicate. We both love the game and we cannot quite afford a pair of computers or Xboxes yet, so this is our only option. Hopefully the best friends can help us on our quest for many more chicken dinners. Thanks for all that you guys at Kinda Funny do. So his mobile name in PUBG is Wezhalla. So that's Wezhalla. Again, Wezhalla, Wezhalla. He says we are both pretty darn good and play every single night and most weekends. That's a lot. Squad up with him. All right, one of those rotating segments. Do you have some salt today?
You know what? This is such a positive show right now. We're talking about a great video game. I'm not going to mar that with salt.
Oh,
so
right.
We're just going to pass the salt because good things are good, and we're going to celebrate that.
Yeah. All right, but because we are a live show and we want to put together a polished podcast for everybody watching at youtube.com/kindoffunnygames or on podcast services around the world, we ask you at twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames to go to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. That was just a lot of URLs, you guys.
That was a lot
and
of URLs.
Tell us what we screwed up. Jared, what did we screw up today?
All right, bringing it up right now. Well, right now I see a blank form, so I'm a little worried about that.
All right, well, let me go ahead and pull it up as well and see
why is this happening?
What the dealio is.
Yeah, I see nothing in the form, and I think that's probably wrong. I'm reloading it here.
No, I see nothing in the form as well.
Holy cow.
Did we not get anything wrong today?
It's freaking amazing.
Oh my gosh, high five.
High five. Perfect 10 out of 10.
Heck
Look at that.
yeah.
It's a theme of the day, ladies and gentlemen. A masterpiece.
We don't know if that if that's an error or if we really just didn't get anything wrong today. But so somebody write in and let us know and be like, this is a fake, you're wrong. We're just testing it.
We're just testing it. Yeah.
So I guess that's it. Tomorrow's hosts, Greg and Tim, are back from Missouri. And apparently, based off their photos, they had a great time at their meet and greet.
You mean
wings?
Greg Miller had fun at Mizzou?
No, what?
No, surely not. And you know what? You got to visit a second-rate SEC school. You got to do what you can.
Oh,
You know.
Sing. That's going to be it for us today. We'll be back next week. Jared, this has been lovely once again.
I really enjoy spending time with you. It has been lovely.
Well, they need to go out of town more often. It's been our pleasure to serve.